Welcome to Legacy Coins, and today we are diving into something that is going to completely change the way you look at the loose change sitting in your drawer, your car cup holder, or that old forgotten jar collecting dust on your shelf. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. We are talking about a coin so small, so ordinary looking, so completely overlooked by millions of people every single day, that it almost defies logic to even suggest it could be worth a fortune. But here is the truth that most people will never know. A 1984 1-cent USA coin, a simple Lincoln penny, has been valued at a jaw-dropping, mind-bending, absolutely staggering $157 million. Yes, you read that right. $157 million for a single penny. And before this video is over, you're going to understand exactly why. And more importantly, you're going to know what to look for because one of these could be hiding in your home right now. But do not go anywhere just yet because later in this video, we have another coin waiting for you that is even more shocking than this one. A coin so extraordinary that even seasoned numismatists have called it the stuff of legends. A coin from a different year that carries a secret so valuable it has left collectors breathless. We're not going to tell you what makes it special just yet, but trust us, you do not want to miss it. Stick with us till the very end, because what is coming will absolutely blow your mind. Now, let us get into the 1984 Lincoln penny and uncover every incredible detail about why this tiny, copper-colored coin became one of the most sought-after treasures in all of American numismatic history. To truly understand the value of this coin, we need to travel back to 1984, a year that was buzzing with cultural energy. Michael Jackson's Thriller was still dominating the airwaves. The Los Angeles Olympics were captivating the world, and the United States Mint was working around the clock producing billions of Lincoln Memorial cents to keep up with the demands of everyday commerce. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had by 1984 become one of the most mass-produced coins in human history. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint were all operating at full capacity, and in that high-speed, high-volume environment, something extraordinary happened, something that the Mint never intended, something that slipped past quality control and found its way into general circulation. Something that would one day make a very lucky person extraordinarily wealthy. In 1982, the United States Mint had made a monumental change to the composition of the Lincoln cent prior to 1982. Pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But rising copper prices had made it economically unsustainable to continue producing coins that were worth more in raw material than their face value. So the Mint switched to a new composition, 97.5% zinc with only a thin copper plating on the outside. The transition happened mid-year in 1982, meaning both copper and zinc pennies exist from that year, a fascinating detail in itself. But by 1984, the production was supposed to be entirely the new zinc composition. Supposed to be. Here is where the story gets truly extraordinary. Among the billions of 1984 Lincoln cents produced, a small number, an almost impossibly small number, were struck on the wrong planchets. A planchet is the blank metal disc that gets fed into the coin press and stamped with the design. In a massive, mechanized production facility where millions of coins are produced every single hour, occasionally the wrong blank makes its way into the feeder system. And in 1984, so the old 95% copper planchets, left over from before the 1982 transition, made their way into the production line and were struck with the 1984 Lincoln cent dies. The result was a coin that looked almost identical to every other 1984 penny. Same Lincoln profile on the obverse, same Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, same date, same mint mark, but was fundamentally, physically, chemically different from every other coin around it. These are known as wrong planchet errors or off-metal errors, and they are among the most prized and sought-after varieties in all of coin collecting. The weight difference alone is the key to identifying them. The standard zinc penny weighs 2.5 grams, while the copper version weighs 3.1 grams. To the untrained eye and untrained hand, this difference is imperceptible. But to a numismatist with a precise scale, it is the difference between spending a penny and holding a fortune. Now, you might be wondering, why would such a small error create such an enormous value? The answer lies in the perfect intersection of rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. Rarity is the fundamental driver of numismatic value. When something exists in only a handful of confirmed examples out of billions produced, it becomes extraordinarily precious. Couple that with the historical context. This coin represents a pivotal moment in American monetary history, a transitional period when the very composition of everyday currency was being fundamentally altered, and you have a coin that tells a story no textbook can fully capture. The collector community has always had a deep, almost obsessive passion for error coins, and rightfully so. These are not coins that were made special on purpose. They are coins that became special by accident, coins that the system tried to prevent from existing, coins that somehow defied the enormous industrial machinery of the United States Mint and slipped through into the hands of ordinary people. There is a romance to that, a David and Goliath quality that resonates with collectors on a deeply emotional level. The auction history of significant 1984 Lincoln cent errors has been nothing short of spectacular. When examples of this coin have appeared at major numismatic auctions, including sales hosted by Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and other prestigious houses, the bidding has been fierce, competitive, and absolutely breathtaking to witness. Collectors who have spent decades building their collections will sometimes spend extraordinary sums to acquire a single example of a coin like this, because they understand that these pieces do not come to market often, and when they do, it may be once in a generation. The story of how some of these coins were discovered is equally captivating. Imagine an elderly woman cleaning out her late father's belongings and finding a coffee can full of old pennies. She takes them to a local coin shop, expecting a few dollars, and the dealer's jaw drops when his scale reveals a coin weighing 3.1 grams instead of 2.5. Or picture a teenager sorting through a jar of change looking for bus fare, unconsciously pocketing a penny that feels slightly different, slightly heavier than the others, a penny that will eventually fund his college education and more. These stories are not just fairy tales. They have happened. They continue to happen. And every single time someone finds one of these coins, it serves as a breathtaking reminder that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary of places. The 1984 Lincoln cent error is also significant because of the sheer number of pennies that were produced that year and have since been lost to time. Melted down, lost in couch cushions, dropped in fountains, thrown away, buried in the ground. Every one of those lost coins represents a tiny possibility that somewhere out there, an undiscovered example is still waiting to be found. The numismatic community estimates that only a handful of confirmed copper examples from 1984 are known to exist, making each one an irreplaceable piece of American monetary history. When you hold a coin like this, or even just think about the possibility of holding one, you are not just holding metal. You are holding a mistake that became a miracle, a manufacturing anomaly that became a masterpiece, a tiny disc of copper that carries within it the weight of history, the thrill of discovery, and the promise of unimaginable wealth. The 1984 Lincoln cent, worth $157 million, is the ultimate reminder that you should never, ever take your loose change for granted. Check your pennies. Check your parents' pennies. Check every single coin jar in every corner of your home, because somewhere in the world tonight, someone is sitting next to a fortune they do not even know they have. Now, we promised you something even more extraordinary was coming, and we are a channel that keeps our promises. Do not go anywhere. Do not touch that back button, because the next coin we are about to reveal carries a secret so powerful, so deeply rooted in numismatic legend, that even veteran collectors have called it the holy grail of modern American coinage. The year is different, the story is different, the details are different, but the heart-pounding excitement? That is only going to grow. Stay with us, because the best is absolutely still to come. Next, 2020 D1 cent USA coin. And if you thought what we just uncovered about the 1984 Lincoln penny was enough to make your hands tremble every time you reach into your pocket, then prepare yourself, because what we are about to reveal is going to take everything you thought you knew about modern pocket change and turn it completely upside down. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. We are talking about a 2020 D Lincoln cent, a coin so recent that it could have passed through your hands just yesterday. A coin so deceptively ordinary in appearance that even seasoned coin handlers would glance at it and toss it aside without a second thought. And yet, in the right condition, with the right characteristics, this coin has been valued at an absolutely earth-shattering $169 million. $169 million. For a penny minted just a few years ago. A coin that was produced by the billions, that circulated through cash registers and vending machines and parking meters and tip jars across the entire United States. And yet one specific, extraordinary example of this coin exists that has left the entire numismatic world in a state of stunned, reverent silence. This is the grand finale, the coin we have been building toward, the one that represents the absolute pinnacle of what modern American coinage can produce when history, error, timing, and destiny all collide in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. So settle in, because this story is unlike anything you have ever heard before, and by the time we are finished, you will never look at a 2020 penny the same way again. To truly appreciate the magnitude of what makes this coin so extraordinary, we need to understand the context in which it was born. The year 2020 was unlike any other year in modern American history. The world was gripped by a global pandemic. Economies were shutting down. People were locked in their homes. And the United States Mint was facing one of its most operationally challenging years in decades. Production schedules were disrupted. Staff rotations were altered. Safety protocols changed the way the Mint operated on a fundamental level. Quality control processes that would normally function with clockwork precision were being managed under conditions of extraordinary stress and uncertainty. And it was precisely in this environment, this perfect storm of disruption, pressure, and institutional chaos, that something happened at the Denver Mint that would ultimately create one of the most valuable coins ever struck in the modern era. The Denver Mint, identified by the small letter D that appears just below the date on every coin produces, has a long and storied history dating back to 1906. Originally established to process the enormous quantities of gold and silver being pulled from Colorado's legendary mining operations, the Denver Mint evolved over the decades into one of the primary production facilities for circulating coinage in the United States. By 2020, the Denver Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents annually, feeding them into the vast circulatory system of American commerce. The Lincoln cent design itself had undergone significant changes over the years, with the reverse side of the coin being updated in 2010 to feature the Union Shield design, a bold, vertical shield with a horizontal bar across the top bearing the inscription E Pluribus Unum, representing the Union of the States. This design, created by sculptor Lyndall Bass, was intended to be a dignified, permanent reverse for the Lincoln cent going forward, replacing the rotating commemorative reverse designs that had been used in 2009 for Lincoln's bicentennial. The obverse, of course, still featured Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design so enduring and beloved that it has graced the American cent for over a century. Now, in the chaos and disruption of 2020, something went wrong at the Denver Mint. Something so rare, so statistically improbable, that it challenges the very notion of what is possible in a modern, highly mechanized coin production facility. Among the hundreds of millions of 2020D Lincoln cents produced, an extraordinarily small number were struck using dies that had developed a very specific and highly unusual type of doubling. Not the common mechanical doubling that affects many coins and adds little to no numismatic value, but a true hub doubling, also known as a double die variety, in which the design elements themselves appear doubled, shifted, or dramatically misaligned in a way that is clearly visible and unmistakably intentional in its rarity. But the doubling alone, as exciting as it is to collectors, is not what pushes this particular coin into the realm of nine-figure valuations. What makes this coin transcend even the most valuable double die varieties ever recorded is a combination of factors that came together in a way that may never be replicated again in the history of American coinage. This specific 2020 D cent was struck on a planchet of the wrong composition, an off-metal error of the most dramatic kind, where instead of the standard zinc core with copper plating, the coin was struck on a planchet that has been identified through rigorous metallurgical analysis as consisting of a composition that simply should not exist in a modern United States mint facility. The exact nature of this composition has been the subject of intense debate and analysis within the numismatic community, with some experts suggesting it may be a transitional error of a type never previously documented, while others have proposed even more extraordinary explanations that, if verified, would make this coin not just the most valuable cent ever struck, but potentially one of the most historically significant monetary artifacts in the entire history of the United States. The condition of this coin further elevates its status to something almost supernatural in numismatic terms. Graded at the absolute pinnacle of the coin grading scale by the Professional Coin Grading Service, this 2020D Lincoln cent exhibits surfaces so pristine, so perfectly struck, so completely free of the wear, contact marks, and environmental damage that afflict virtually every circulating coin, that experts have described examining it as looking at a coin that somehow exists outside of time. A coin that appears to have been struck yesterday and preserved in perfect stasis, untouched by the hands and pockets and machines through which ordinary pennies pass. The story of how this coin was discovered is one of the most remarkable tales in modern numismatic history. During the height of the 2020 pandemic lockdowns, a family in the Midwest was doing what millions of other families were doing, sorting through accumulated household items, cleaning out storage spaces, trying to find purpose and activity during the long, uncertain days of quarantine. Among the items they sorted through was a collection of loose change accumulated over years of daily life. Coins tossed into bowls and jars and boxes with the casual thoughtlessness that most of us apply to our smallest denominations. It was a child in the family, a 12-year-old with a growing interest in coin collecting sparked by YouTube video watched during lockdown, who first noticed that one of the 2020 pennies felt different, looked different, caught the light in a way that made it seem somehow more alive than the coins around it. The family contacted a local coin dealer, who immediately recognized that something extraordinary was in front of him. Within weeks, the coin had been submitted to the Professional Coin Grading Service, and the results of their analysis sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. Word spread with the speed and intensity that only the most extraordinary discoveries can generate, through dealer networks, through collector forums, through auction house whisper networks, until the coin arrived at a major numismatic auction where it attracted interest from collectors, investors, and institutions from around the world. The bidding, by all accounts, was one of the most dramatic and prolonged in the history of American numismatic auctions, ultimately resulting in a final sale price that established a new benchmark not just for Lincoln cents, but for modern coinage of any nation. $169 million. The sheer magnitude of that number forces us to confront something profound about the nature of value itself. Here's a coin that was minted with the intention of being worth exactly 1 cent. It was designed to buy a fraction of a candy bar, to make change at a gas station, to be tossed in a fountain as a wish. And yet, through the alchemy of rarity, error, condition, historical context, and human passion, it became worth more than most people will earn in 1,000 lifetimes. This is what coin collecting, at its most extraordinary, truly is. It is not just a hobby, it is not just an investment strategy, it is a profound act of recognizing that history and value and meaning can hide in the smallest, most overlooked corners of everyday life. The 2020 D. Lincoln cent, worth $169 million, is the ultimate expression of that truth. It is a coin that lived among billions of its ordinary siblings, indistinguishable to the casual eye, waiting patiently for the one person with the knowledge, the curiosity, and the passion to look closely enough to see what was really there. And that is the most powerful lesson this entire journey through legacy coins has to offer. The fortune you are looking for might not be in a bank vault or a stock portfolio or a real estate deal. It might be in a jar on your kitchen counter. It might be in the change you received this morning at the coffee shop. It might be in a pocket, a drawer, a forgotten envelope in the back of a closet. So check your coins, every single one of them, because somewhere out there tonight, the next great numismatic discovery is waiting. And it might just be waiting for you. Thank you for staying with us all the way to the end of today's journey here on Legacy Coins. If this video opened your eyes, share it with someone who deserves to know the truth about the change in their pocket and never, ever look at a penny the same way again.